So we're going to focus today on the utility rebates, and one of the points we want to make is that funding is still available in many cases. It absolutely still is available. Unfortunately, not every utility has lighting upgrade dollars available, but a lot of them do, and at varying levels. From, like I said, some programs can completely cover a lighting upgrade, and that could be quite an investment. Others will substantially subsidize it. Unfortunately, some don't have any programs in place, but figure the best way to demonstrate this is by showing some real life examples. So we've put together 3 short case studies on how customers we've worked with have upgraded their lighting and embraced the utility incentives that are available to them. Excuse me. And before we jump into those case studies, I often ask myself as a lighting supplier, what percentage of businesses, commercial and industrial facilities, have already upgraded to LED? And what percentage still have not? How far are we along this adoption curve from legacy and efficient lighting to LED? And it's a difficult question to answer because there's not a lot of good factual data or studies out there that exist. Current reports that we look at show that adoption rate for commercial properties only, we're not talking residential, but business, commercial, industrial, is somewhere between 30 and just north of 50% in the United States. And that varies quite a bit geographically too. For example, we notice the Northeast has a higher adoption rate than we might have here in the Midwest, and we think it's largely due to the cost of energy on the East Coast is substantially higher. They pay substantially higher amount per kilowatt hour than we pay here in the Midwest. So some of that is driven geographically and economics. So adoption rates we believe are a little higher in the Northeast than they are here in the Midwest and other areas of the country. But there's still a lot of room for growth, and I have some numbers here. What is the U.S. LED lighting market, the value of it? Again, different sources peg it at different numbers, but all sources show that there's still a lot of growth in the next 5-10 years. And the key is that there's still plenty of energy savings opportunity here in the United States, locally in the US and globally. I'd say roughly anecdotally, I think we're somewhere close to midway through that adoption curve. When we talk to customers and they're looking at a lighting upgrade, they often lead with the economics of the project, right? And we break this down typically into 2 categories. There are quantifiable financial benefits and then the intangible benefits. And the quantifiable benefits are pretty straightforward. We can put a dollar value on these, right? It's real money. So it's, we're going to talk more about the quantifiable financial benefits today. The intangible benefits are a little more nebulous, but still very important. For example, you cannot put a dollar value on employee safety, and better, more consistent lighting generally improves your operating environment and employee safety. U.S. workplace today loses tremendous amount of productivity each year due to illness, well-being, overall employee morale. And again, better lighting, which is offered by LED lighting, it's cleaner, brighter, more consistent. So there are intangible benefits with a lighting upgrade. The tangible financial benefits are, like I said, they're more straightforward, they're more calculated, and we're gonna focus on that today, and really as it relates to utility upgrades and how they can subsidize a lighting project. In another discussion, maybe we'll take a deeper dive into the energy savings and how to calculate anticipated kilowatt hour reduction, and at your energy rate, how much are you going to save in a year, and backing into a return on investment, and how quickly, what's your payback period. So that's probably the topic of our next webinar, but today we're going to focus more on the utility economics and the incentives that they might provide. And they exist, we're talking here on this slide, why do these utility programs have these programs? And I've, early on, I wondered, why are they paying us to upgrade our lighting? And it's to promote energy efficiency. And I think in the simplest way, it's less costly for them to incentivize reduction in energy consumption than it is to build additional infrastructure, additional supply-based power plants. And the truth of the matter, too, is that we all pay into these programs, whether you know it or not. Most of us, most electric consumers, are paying a small percentage of their monthly cost to fund these pools, these energy efficiency pools. So you're paying into it. If it exists, you might as well take advantage of it. So let's jump into the case studies. This first case study, real life example. This is a distribution center customer that we worked with here in the Chicagoland area. They're a local utility company. For those of you familiar with our area is ComEd. And it was a 1-for-1 replacement. They had 85 400-watt metal halide fixtures and did a 1-for-1 replacement with a 165-watt LED high bay, and they elected to use Bluetooth network controls with their fixtures too, which gave them the added flexibility of grouping their fixtures, scheduling, and they use some occupancy sensors to, motion sensors, right? And so their operating hours, they operate there about 70 hours. It's about 6 days a week, six days a week, 3,600 hours per year. And they were plagued with high maintenance costs, the labor to get up there and replace their bulbs or their ballasts every year, and wanted to improve their lighting and reduce their maintenance costs, reduce their energy cost. So we went in and wait for the slide to load here. And with our high bay LED high bay fixture with Bluetooth network controls, they did a 1-for-1 replacement, saved a lot in annual kilowatt hours. This energy savings wise, $10,000 a year doesn't seem huge, but that adds up over 5, 10, 15-year life of these LED products. And I think that the bigger part, this was a roughly $42,000 project installed, and the incentives with the added bonus using network lighting controls covered the entire project cost. So the customer paid $0 out of pocket. So, in addition, so they complete lighting upgrade, paid $0. They are saving immediately $10,000 plus a year in energy cost. They're saving in maintenance costs because they're no longer paying the labor to go up and replace bulbs and ballasts, as we talked about. And that's over $170,000 expected life of the lighting system. And that's not taking into the added savings you get with network lighting controls. When you put lighting on schedules or dimmers or occupancy sensors, you're further reducing the consumption and adding to that bottom line savings. So it was a great win-win. The utility company reduced electric demand. The customers got brand new, beautiful lighting, LED lighting, uniform, consistent lighting, reduced energy cost. We were able to help them achieve what they wanted to. So that's a great case study with a distribution center here in the Chicagoland area. Now moving to the Pacific Northwest in a different type of application. This was a school district we worked with, and local utility company there is Avista. We worked mostly with the high school here, and it was, I think it was hundreds of fixtures actually that was multiple gymnasiums across multiple schools, but in the high school, there were a lot of fluorescent T8 tubes in the classrooms and in the hallways. There was a lot of outdoor lighting that still using high pressure sodium lamps. So we worked with them on wall pack and area light replacements. And operating hours of the school, typical for a school, basically 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, and then some hours on weekends as well, depending on activities and the time of the year. So we helped them with their lighting product, and the results were huge. I mean, $300,000 plus kilowatt hours saved per year. That's over 40. That's close to $42,000 a year in utility cost using the national average 13 cents per kilowatt hour. That's the national average for commercial industrial properties today is 13 cents per kilowatt hour. This was a $91,000 project that was substantially funded by the utility company. It's over $400,000 of savings in energy cost over the life of the lighting. The intangible benefits are huge: clean, uniform lighting, less maintenance, lighting quality immediately approved, which improves learning environment for both students and teachers. We're actually working on a case study on this particular school project, and once we have it finished, it goes into more detail, we'll be sure to share it and email it to everybody on this call. But it was a great program. It was 98% covered by the utility company. The school's thrilled, and incidentally, I'll tell you too, I mean, the Pacific Northwest, as green as they are and environmentally conscious as they are, we've done over 380, I think 385 projects in the last 18 to 20 months in 22 and 23 alone, and with a calculated savings of, it will be right around 6 million kilowatt hours saved in 22 and 23 by year end. So there's been tremendous opportunity out there, and this was a great school district to get involved with, and we helped navigate the rebate program on their behalf, got them the right light, what they needed at the schools they needed, and a great case study out in the Pacific Northwest. So the third little example we put in here, we're coming back to the Midwest, another Illinois example, not in the Chicagoland area. This was a manufacturing company downstate in central Illinois, and they are steel component fabrication plant. And we provided the LED high bay fixtures. We were mainly replacing linear T8 and T5 fixtures. I think it was close to 12, it was 1,150 LED high bays replacing their linear fixtures. And there wasn't so much savings here with watts reduced going from linear T8s to our LED high bays. Where the savings really came in was with the deployment of network lighting controls. They're a 24/7 operation. So, 365 days a year, they might be off a couple holidays, but 24/7, the savings came in with them deploying occupancy sensors. Areas of the plant that might not have seen a lot of movement throughout the day now are zone controlled with occupancy sensors, dimming, scheduling. We took the lead on the utility incentive application. Given the size and scope of the project, it was a process. It required pre-application, pre-inspection for authorization. They wanted to verify the existing lighting count and the baseline wattage. They wanted to calculate, the utility company that is, wanted to calculate the anticipated kilowatt hour reduction, and that all factored into their calculation on what they were willing to incentivize. In fact, they did a post-installation inspection as well. They want to make sure everything is installed and set up, and the network lighting controls were installed and commissioned correctly. So another great example. So we had a distribution center here in the Midwest. We had a school district in the Pacific Northwest, and this manufacturing plant in Illinois. And we could probably, if you're interested, give you, depending on what type of business you are and what type of application is, we probably have a case study that mirrors your environment. So happy to share other case studies if you have specifics about your situation. Results, maybe I got ahead of myself a little bit. So the results on this one, this was close to, so over 700,000 kilowatt hours saved per year. That's $97,000 per year in energy savings right to their bottom line. This was close to a $200,000 project in fixtures alone, and the utility incentive covered that entire product cost. In full disclosure, there was additional labor costs. The customer here did a self-installation, so they had some cost involved in installing these fixtures, but $200,000 of incentives to cover the product cost is huge. $0 out of pocket. Kilowatt hours saved were a ton, and maintenance cost went down, again, going from maintenance on fluorescent T8s and T5s, no more ballast replacement, no more bulb replacement. You eliminate that maintenance cost. This is just another example of how incentives can pay for or substantially cover the cost of a lighting upgrade, and the customer's thrilled. Their ability to control the light, the added benefits of the Bluetooth controls, really has impacted their daily operation. Okay, so how do you find utility incentives? How do you find out if your utility has anything in place, and what's the process? I probably should have broken this down into 2 slides, but basically, I mean, the easiest way to find out is to reach out to your utility company and find out what types, if any, not every utility company, unfortunately, has lighting incentive programs in place, but a lot do. And the best way to find out is go to your utility company and ask what type of energy efficiency programs they might have in place. Often they'll have programs not just for LED lighting, but for HVAC and other building systems. We're, OEO as a lighting provider, we're focused on the lighting side of it, but get with your utility company, get with your rep, and find out what type of energy efficiency programs they have in place. These programs always are evolving, and each utility has a different process by which you have to follow to secure these incentives if they have them. But as we get into the fourth quarter of 2023, a lot of these utility companies are redefining what their incentives look like. So 2023, they might have had one incentive structure, and they'll be coming out with their 2024 programs by the end of this year. Sometimes falls more into new construction or additions, but roughly speaking, it's these buckets often correlate with complexity of the process. And like I said, every utility company has a different process and different requirements. Some require pre-application or pre-authorization. Um, Often, most will have a final application once the project is completed and the new lighting measures are installed. They'll often want fixture counts. They want to verify baseline wattage. What are you moving away from, and what are you moving to? You're going from a 400-watt metal halide down to a 150-watt LED high bay. Sometimes they want photos of your legacy lighting or pictures of lamp stamps that verify the wattage, pictures of ballast that verify the wattage on the ballast. They reserve the right to do pre-inspections and post-inspections. Some utility companies do both on every job. Some just reserve the right. Um, they'll usually want your utility account number and a copy of your W-9. They'll want a written scope of work. So it's a process. It's not rocket science, but it's a process. It starts with verifying with your utility company what, if any, energy efficiency programs they have in place, then figuring out what the requirements are and what the process is, and making sure you follow their guidelines from start to finish, so you're not penalized, and you can secure the maximum amount of rebate. They'll also want to look at the products you're selecting. Are they on their qualified product list? Are they DLC 5.1 versus 5.0? That's a design like consortium rating system, and most utility companies, if they haven't already adopted the 5.1, the latest and greatest standard, they will be adopting it effective January 1st of 2024. A lot of utility companies have already moved to the 5.1 standard. And then we've talked about network lighting controls, but a lot of utility companies, if they have an energy efficiency program, they'll have bonus or added incentives if you do deploy network lighting controls. That's often Bluetooth. Think of it as scheduling, the ability to dim, the ability to control zones of your facility, the ability to put your lighting on occupancy sensors or daylight harvesting. So it's a whole bundle of added technology that can definitely enhance not only the lighting quality in your facility, but the rebate available to you in a lighting upgrade. utility companies, they don't want you to claim extras. You can't overstate the fixtures you have. It has to be, they're pretty precise on what you have and what you're going from. They have these guidelines in place to make sure people don't take advantage of their programs. And then the rebate calculations all vary from utility to utility. Some utilities calculate based on total watts reduced. Some rebate based on kilowatt hours saved. So that's a factor of watts reduced plus hours of operation. Some have a fixed rate per lighting measure. So it just, like I said, I could have broken the slide. I should have broken the slide into 2 slides. There's a lot to talk about here, but it starts with verifying if your utility has a program. If they do, what are the program guidelines? Do they have instant midstream? Do they have a standard program? Making sure you know the guidelines, what type of paperwork, what goes into the application, what type of information they need to know about the product you're installing, and your timeline, and just so do they have a program, and then making sure you know their process. And again, it's not rocket science, but it is a process, and you want to make sure that you follow the guidelines based on your utility company. So OEO Energy Solutions, how can we help? Well, we can help. We are, as I said at the onset, we are a commercial lighting supplier. We ship product to 50 states nationally, and we are a trade ally with most of the larger electric utility companies nationwide. We have, as a value-added service, we have a rebate team internally that solely focuses on processing these applications for our lighting customers. It's a value-add service at no additional cost to you. And we, as a trade ally, we maintain our good standing with utility companies, and we want to make sure we're in compliance with the processes. We want to make sure we're using products on their QPL or their qualified product lists. We want to make sure we're submitting pre-applications and post-applications in a timely manner, and we're submitting accurate scope of work on each project. We attend ongoing trainings. A lot of these programs have energy efficiency partner trainings that they do quarterly or annually to update us on the evolution of their programs. And we're going to see a lot of these trainings as we approach the end of the year, as they start thinking about 2024 and beyond. So if you have a question about a lighting upgrade, we can confirm with you pretty quickly if your utility program has a program. Some, like I said, a lot don't, but a lot still do. We can typically estimate a rebate amount for your project down to the dollar based on what you have in place, your baseline, and what you might be moving to, and what your utility offers. And we manage the entire process for you, start to finish. When you work with OEO, if you decide that you want to work with us for your lighting needs, we can handle the rebate, handle the pre-application, manage the process. And the best part about it, if there is utility incentive, you only pay, say you buy lighting from us, you pay us the net cost. We bear the burden of collecting utility from the rebate company. We carry that receivable on our books. So at the end of the day, your net cost is net of the utility rebate. We live by, one of our mantras here is energy saving simplified, and we try to make lighting easy for you. So we're here, happy to help. If you have any questions about your utility, what programs they might have, if any, and give you a quote on what lighting might be net of the available utility rebate. So I think that about sums it up. We covered a lot here. I'll finish by saying thanks for joining us. I think the main message here is that utility rebates absolutely still do exist. They can substantially pay for or completely cover your lighting upgrade in some cases. If you don't know the programs offered by your utility, please reach out to us. We can quickly confirm. We're happy to do it. You can call us, you can email us. I put our 800 number there. We pride ourselves on actually answering the phone in 2 to 3 rings, a live person right here in Lake Zurich, Illinois. So feel free to call us, email us. If you have questions about your utility, we'll follow up with you quickly and let you know if they have programs and what those programs look like. If you'd like to reach me directly, my direct contact information is right there, bottom left corner of the slide. Again, thanks for joining. We hope you found this useful. We don't have time, we're running a little long here. We don't have time to get to the questions that have come through, but I'll be sure that we follow up with you individually in the next couple days, and we will be sending out a recording of this presentation. So thanks for joining.